Alright, Trickers and Trickers, time for the penultimate episode of Review of the Day with Timescape. Captain Picard, Counselor Troy, Chief Engineer of the Forge, and Lieutenant Commander Data are on a runabout, returning to the Enterprise from a conference. As they near the ship, they encounter pockets of temporal disruptions that have very peculiar effects and could be lethal if they pass through them. They modify their sensors to avoid these, and when they near the Enterprise, they find it an Romulan warbird frozen in time. The warbird has fired a disruptor at the Enterprise, but the Federation ship has initiated a power transfer to the warbird. Data and LaForge modify a set of emergency transport armbands to nullify the temporal effects. Picard, Data, and Troy transport aboard the Enterprise to try to investigate the situation. They find the crew has been transporting aboard Romulans from the warbird, and one in sickbay has fired upon Dr. Crusher with his disruptor. The Enterprise warp engine has suffered a warp breach, which, under normal circumstances, would consume the Enterprise in seconds. Picard suffers temporal narcosis from standing close to the core breach, forcing them to return to the runabout and for the Forge to take Picard's place. On the warbird, they find the crew attempting to evacuate the ship with the Enterprise's help. Its main reactor, using artificial quantum singularities, is undergoing a power surge. Investigating the engine closely, find the singularity appears odd and discolored unlike other ones. When Data scans over the tricorder, time briefly moves forward on the ship, causing a cataclysmic core explosion, but then reverses back to its original point, destroying ships and crews. LaForge spots the Romulan, who was not in the same place as before. The Romulan suddenly touches him, shocking them both. The shock is nearly lethal to LaForge, and they disconnect the shield to freeze him in time, hoping to care for him later, while they take the Romulan back to the runabout. There, they find the Romulan is really a creature from transdimensional space. He admits he and a companion had tried to recover the singularity from the Romulans, as it is carrying their young, who were accidentally incubated in the Romulan artificial quantum singularity, instead of a natural one such as a black hole. In the process of trying to remove the singularity, they had created the power surge, resulting in the warbird sending out a distress call to the Enterprise. The creature soon fades away, returning to its own transdimensional space. Picard, Troy, and Data return to the Enterprise and position themselves around the ship, with Data ready to use a remote-controlled tricorder aimed at the Romulan engine core to reverse time a few seconds to perform key actions to prevent the pending disasters. After the warp core breach is averted in engineering, Data is about to stop the power transfer, but is attacked by the transdimensional creature's companion. He regains consciousness shortly thereafter, but must put a force field around the warp core to prevent it from breaching again. Picard still appears on the Enterprise bridge near Riker. Although the crew is surprised, Picard gives the order to continue to evacuate the Romulan ship, including LaForge, and to terminate the power transfer. In sickbay, Troy successfully pushes Dr. Crusher out of the way of the Romulan disruptor blast. The Romulan states he was only firing at a transdimensional creature that had disguised herself as a Romulan and had not meant to harm Crusher. However, the warbird continues to go critical, and the power transfer for the Enterprise cannot be stopped. Picard remotely powers the runabout into the power transfer beam's path, disrupting it and allowing the Enterprise to move away, and safely recovering the warbird crew. Just as the warbird's engines go critical, the ship disappears, along with the remaining time abnormalities. As the Enterprise crew repair the ship, Picard promises to return the Romulans safely to their homeworld. At the close, Data is trying to examine human perception of time. Oh boy. Well, there's only a few words I can say for this episode, and that's wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. So there you go. So this is a pretty unique episode, and it's definitely one that we don't get to see a lot of in Trek. So overall, I give Timescape 4 warp cores out of 5. Well, join me soon for the final episode of Review of the Day with Descent. Ooh, should be a good one. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.